Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Thank you, God, for this day we have lived, everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us, allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen.
Really, I'ma get that bitch. Revenge is a dish best served cold. She took my son, now my soul is cold. He took my daddy, now my soul is old.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub?
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka ENT. From the
she starts
seat.
shooting.
Ow!
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We need
shot. It had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así. Mueve, muevo, mueve.
Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Hop, hop, jump, skip up on the floor. If they didn't know, then we gon' let them know. Drop low, giving them a show. We gon' give them something that they never seen before. Hop, scotch, 784. Bouncing on the beat while keeping the flow. Stop, watch, freeze and go. Cock-a-doodle-doo is what you eating off the floor. Pop, lock, do it by yourself. You know you the best, you don't need nobody else. Rock, hip, toast to success. You was born a winner, so you never nothing less. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
Dime
wiggle,
qué tú
wiggle.
quieres, papi.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
¿Quieres
wiggle,
que lo
wiggle.
mueva para ti?
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
¿Te
wiggle,
gusta
wiggle.
cuando me muevo así?
Bow,
Así.
bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle. When we come through, make you move just a little. Clap, clap, snap, do it from the hip. You can do this whether you stand or sit. Pump, fist, do it with your wrist. Pump it back and forth like you trying to catch a fish. Hip, twist, do a finger kiss. Rocking back and forth as you make your body shift. Top, tick, do it like you sick. 2 + 4 is 6, and that's a ripper dick. Top, 6, we gon' let it rip. We got your attention and we not gon' let it slip. So hands up, move your head and know what's up. Now it's shoulders rolling while you showing them your stuff. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
Dime
wiggle,
qué tú
wiggle.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. A mic check. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. It's time to check the mic and best to bet I'm about to wreck it to the leather. Jealous people hate but don't debate, just check my measures. Electric by design, I even shine in stormy weather. Attempt to meddle and tether this mental treasure, and you find yourself embedded in the chasm in the desert. Thirsting for hydration, no libation, empty kettle. Take it to another level, add the bullet and the shovel. Got you on the bubble, double trouble. See you stumbled, and it's about to get repugnant like a kitten in the rumble. Quick to fluff and tumble, best be humble when we come through, cause I have you stiffing under. Mama wonder where you went to.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. What you gon' do? It's the KCE crew. We making you look like Fu Manchu. Proper grasshopper who with the kung fu. Cut and slice nice like Benny Hanna do. Take quick bites like the tip of a piranha tooth. Go ahead and steal my mic, watch it blow up right in front of you. We coming to give you something good like some Beetlejuice. Give you something good like some Beetlejuice. Who do you think you are? You ain't gonna get real far. Driving your shifty car, following Diddy farts. I'ma be a Twitter star. I'ma be a Twitter star. Keep dreaming about how big you are, cause we about to pick apart everything that's in your heart. Control and leave you torn to shards. Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte. Selling junk like Sanford son. Wax on, wax off Daniel son. Selling junk like Sanford son.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. I'm tripping cause my mind's gone from always seeing tragedies. Can't close my eyes cause it's around me, I just call it reality. Can't paint no perfect picture like an artist they can't sell. It's what they try to instill in me, but my pockets seem to swell. Doing it like them ghetto boys did it back in those days. And we been jamming Pippin Bun, long live UGK. And before Eminem, we had Bill and Gangsta Nip. But we don't trip unless we on the plane taking a trip. And these suckers trying to contest us, but they find out we ain't no busters. We much more than screw, we keep it gutter. Mic check 1 2, y'all cannot touch us. We don't be causing no problem, son. Coming at me like Daniel's son. You would get defeated, wax on, wax off, out to the righteous one.
1 2 1 2. That's mic check. 1 2 1 2. You already know. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Dude, I could blink my eyes and provide an entire fountain of sound effects, pounding directly on your neck, having flashbacks of the tragic act back when the boom bap was replaced with pop rap or hip hop or whatever you call that. We need a lockbox or something to keep this weak pox from spreading. I'm heading outside of the outsiders, opening your mind wider. Silly rabbits are at it again, but they can't hide us. Sit tight, Mr. Hip Hop. We'll find your daughter. Ought to be easy. She emits a homing frequency. We picked it up back in '98, and we're actually surprised that it took us so long to triangulate her exact location. But congratulations, check it out. We about to get her right now. We already found the captors, trapped them and slapped them bound. Just burn the hideout to the ground.
Yeah, a 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Let's make it hot. A 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2.
And now, another major production.
I'm about to tell you what the real is. Deep down inside, you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some crickets. Yeah, hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. Yeah, forget the $1 million mission. Sometimes I just want to go fishing instead of physically grinding in the trenches. Finding me using my knowledge, intuition. Yeah, Chaka not talking while he so distant. Yeah, Chaka be talking but they don't listen. Yeah, he's sitting, his brain pumping like a piston. I've been chasing the twilight, now I've been bitten. The city's in my sights as if I was a pigeon. Your role is cast, your dialogue is written, it's past control. You're like a Sims minion, what to do now but roam around in and out of buildings. Seemingly living, touching ceilings, but there's no feeling. Willing and dealing, but really there's no winning. I'm sinning and sinning, so what I'm defending stuff's like prison, stuck in the life out of living. I'm about to tell you what the real is, Deep down inside you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some cricket. Yeah, hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. They say they do it for the money and the power. I'm just trying to get some peace in the shower. Protect what's mine without being a coward. Watch loved ones take time to breathe in the flowers. I've seen these G's get knee deep in powder because he needs to succeed in ours. Fuck your lifestyle, it's weak and it's sour. Fuck your lifestyle, it's weak and it's sour. Watch I come through and do like I do. Watch he come through and lose like he do. I'm a Hebrew, he just evil. We both hate people and church steeples. One thing certain, demons lurking. They be stressing, we be surfing. She be twerking and it look like it's hurting. I be perping, close the curtain. They give you lithium to get rid of that shit? I'm about to tell you what the real is, Deep down inside you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some cricket. Yeah, hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. I'm about to tell you what the real is, Deep down inside you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some cricket. Yeah, hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. Yeah, you boys think you real. What is real? Whatever it is, it's not you. For real. You know what I'm saying? KCE, we coming. It's the takeover, bitch. Y'all ain't ready. This is some whole new shit. For real.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, we want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that mess up. Thank you, God, for this day we have lived, everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us. Allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen. And we tend to cover random world events. I don't know. I'm trying to work on my little shit. Santa Muerte. That's what we're going to talk about. And other random stuff. I don't want to get right into that because I like to tease that for a while. So, how y'all feel? Y'all feel good? It's good to feel good. I really wasn't even planning on doing the show today, but I ended up not working, so I can have the time. So I figure I'd give you guys some content. How about that? So here we go.
Yeah.
Because of me.
Continue.
You would like me to elaborate?
I want you to elaborate.
Okay. I feel like there's two kind of women you meet. You can meet a woman who wears her sexual heart on her sleeve. And there's another woman you can meet that it means a lot more. That if you're going to sleep with her, you're not just sleeping with her, you are committing to her. Like for me, finding women and intimacy, it's not something that's tough. I can get that anywhere. So if I am to go down that road where I'm not 100 about you, I feel like that's a disrespect. You know, I could say and do all of those things and boom, we have some cold, beautiful sex. That's no problem. But then what the hell does it mean after that? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Can I give you my response now?
Go.
Are you crazy?
It's way too much going on there. I'm not gonna make a comment because there's way too much going on. Oh man, this one should be interesting. Why do they put the music and everything, man? What up, Pat? How you feeling?
A little bit better, man. I've been kind of back and forth. You know how the daytime you feel way good, and then the evening comes and it just kind of crashes down on you. But I'm feeling good. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good right now. So
That's good, man. You finished driving? You done for the day?
yeah, I'm done, man. Shoot, I was kind of worried I was gonna have issues. Well, I had a few issues coming on, but looks like the signal is pretty stable right now, so it seems to be pretty good.
Oh, that's good.
Oh crap! Somebody's probably gonna ask me to move.
Let me play this.
Venue, a place where African Americans have been coming for years, including, as you stated, the former President Barack Obama. I believe it's a clear attempt to undermine our cities. We're already dealing with the overproliferation of guns that are coming from the southern border. We are coming out of COVID. New York was ground zero for the COVID crisis. We are experiencing historical crises already. And when you look at the specific targeting
truck drivers
states in America, we looked at the cities where you had 3 black mayors, where they specifically sent buses to. They passed through a lot of cities to get to New York.
A lot of sanctuary cities they passed through, by the way. They passed through a lot of sanctuary cities as well.
The facts are clear. 3 black mayors, Chicago, Washington, and New York City. We were targeted and very clear. The governor of Texas clearly stated that he was targeting these areas. It was clear that Martha's Vineyard, a place where African Americans have been coming for years, including, as you stated, the former President Barack Obama. I believe it's a clear attempt to undermine our cities. We're already dealing with the overproliferation of guns that are coming from the southern border. We are coming out of COVID. New York was ground zero for the COVID crisis. We are experiencing historical crises already. And when you look at the specific targeting out of all the states in America, we looked at the cities where you had 3 black mayors, where they specifically sent buses to. They passed through a lot of cities to get to New York.
A lot of sanctuary cities they passed through, by the way. They passed through a lot of.
So, first off, I have to say I don't like this guy, and I don't sympathize with him, and it sounds like he's crying. Wah. Okay, But
Yeah.
on the other hand,
All right, the but. Let me hear
here
the but.
goes the but. But at the same time, what he's saying is true about them targeting them. And, of course, they wanted to target Democratic cities, but then, boom, let's make it the cities with the black mayors in it. You know what I'm saying? There's a racist element to this.
You think?
Yes, for sure. Without a doubt.
I mean, I never looked at it that way. I mean, potentially, but to me, I honestly, I think it's more of a. I mean, you think that they have remorse for? Oh, I'm just not gonna do it to white Democrats. Like I don't know, like.
What I'm saying is, it's sending a message. The whole point of it is political, right? The whole point of it is political. It's a message, So part of the message is these black mayors can't run their cities. They suck. They Democratic and they black. Damn, they double whack.
Well, their main problems is their. I mean, I don't think it's. Well, I mean, I don't personally think it's because it's black. I think it's because of the values in which they. Because I mean, if they follow along with whatever other Democrats say, instead of like, all right, you know what, my city, I might be a Democrat, but my city is not gonna be this or that. They're not doing enough to close in on the proper crimes. So I mean, I wouldn't necessarily attribute that to crime. I mean to race. I would attribute to just uh failed ideology. Because you start talking about I mean, because of course the wrong terminology, defunding the police, that's a bad terminology. But if you're gonna spend the money, you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna get the money, spend it properly.
Yeah.
But I mean, they just they just so happen to have a lot of crime. I mean, I never really looked at it that way because I'm just looking at like, okay, this is just failed policy. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. Well, I'm
but
saying on its face.
I can't and I hear what you're saying. I don't want, because I mean, I can't say what was on their mind when they decided
Yeah.
none of this. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So potentially, possibly, but I mean, if you're a sanctuary city, and this is because I mean, these were not Greyhound buses that was going, or these was privately hired and sent directly to specific places.
They had to be, because them stops like Martha's Vineyard, I don't think that's a stop on a regular bus stop. I doubt it. I'm just saying, I doubt you could catch the bus there, but what do I know?
It's breaking up on my end real bad.
Oh yeah. Shit. Anyways, the guy is just saying, 3 black mayors, Chicago, Washington, and New York City, were targeted on this busing of immigrants thing. That's what this guy is saying. Let me read this post right here. It says, after 2 weeks of lockdown in Haiti, demonstrators plan to go on general strike from September 26 to September 28 to protest the high price of fuel. The strike will be followed by 2 days of protests on September 29th and September 30th. So I guess that's getting the word out. But like, who's striking, and how much would the strike affect the economy when it's already like in shambles? Like, oh man, Thoughts out to them, man. Ancestors power to them, man. Y'all keep fighting. You know, hopefully at some point this will break for something to break for y'all. I don't want to just get into it. I kind of want to freaking. Oh wait, I think I got something. So I don't want to jump into it yet. Can I play this?
Sugar Hill Records is the worst thing that ever happened to hip hop. When Sugar Hill Records came out, a woman named Sylvia.
Do you believe reverse racism exists?
I'm honestly not sure what it is.
It would be like reverse racism would be.
Hold on.
Reverse racism exists.
I'm honestly not sure what it is.
It would be like reverse racism would be like black people can be racist against white people or like other, yeah, basically.
I mean, you can be prejudiced, but it's not as systemic as racism is.
I don't think you can be racist to a group that isn't marginalized. So
I don't think so, just because racism by definition is when a group with institutional power is oppressing or discriminating a group without it or abusing their power. So I don't think reverse racism is really a thing. Thank you.
No, I would say no. Probably not.
That was pretty easy, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like it does, but just not to like the extreme that it clearly happens like right. I don't know how to like word it properly.
Like it depends. I mean, I guess not. Yeah, like I know what you mean.
Does, but it's I don't know.
Not the same amount.
Not the same, and it's not like as extreme. Okay, if that makes sense. I hope that didn't sound like.
No, it's okay. Okay, thank you.
Racism only racism. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Do you believe?
I need to give me a mic, something like that I can take with me, so I can do little interviews like that. I'd love to do that. I've been thinking about that. So I don't know what would be the best equipment to do that with, and the most cost effective. I'm afraid to play this clip because I don't know what show this is from.
Thing, 1979 Sugar Hill Records is the worst thing that ever happened to hip hop. When Sugar Hill Records came out, a woman named Sylvia Robinson and her husband Joey Robinson, they owned all of rap. If you could somehow phantom that in your head for a hot minute, there was one record label that had all the top rappers of the day on it, and no other company had that. Had we stuck together, Black people would not be in this situation. They say hip hop is a $10 billion culture every year. That's Black people money we should be having. But Black people rejected us and lost $10 billion a year. $10 billion a year gone. Whole dream of Dr. King gone. Take it up now to Sugar Hill Records. All the greatest hip hop acts are on the label, but they're not getting treated right. Black people are ripping off Black people. I say this respectfully because I'm talking about our parents. These are older Blacks ripping off the talent of younger Blacks, respectfully. KRS, Scott LaRock, Boogie Down Productions, B-Boy Records. Black men are taking advantage of young Black talent. B-Boy Records was owned by Black people, older Black men from the 50s and 60s. You would think, after everything we went through in civil rights, you see a young man coming up, he calls himself Knowledge Reigns Supreme. And he's trying to come up. He's homeless. He's in the street. But he's talking that blackness. And you see he got a crowd around him. And you see he got some little time. You're not going to dust him off and say, yo, young blood, come on, let me show you something. Let me protect you. No, they were the first ones to come in. Rip off me and Scott LaRock for the Criminal Minded album. To this very day, black folks still ripping me off for the Criminal Minded album. To this very day. Because I'm already a wealthy person, I really don't care. So I allow black folk to eat off the album. I allow bootleggers to eat off the album. I allow people to do that. It doesn't bother me. But if you want to talk principle, black people are they're eating their children. They're eating their children. This is the worst thing to happen to not only hip hop, but to black civilization in the United States.
That's pretty heavy, bro. Pretty heavy, KRS. I think I'm gonna get into it. We lost Pat. Had a bad connection. It says Ukraine just one aid package away from victory. Anyways, let's move on. Get into it. Santa Muerte. Am I saying it wrong? Learning Spanish, and I'm so my confidence is not there with it to speak it, but I understand it pretty good, but really kind of embarrassed to speak it. Shit, let's get into it. This is great stuff right here. This is Religion for Breakfast.
Anybody?
And he's going to talk about Santa Muerte and help us understand it, because I think that a lot of people are confused with this kind of stuff, you know, and it's cool too. It's really cool. Not only that, it's like I was talking about any other show. I almost named the show like The Divine Feminine, or I was going to say Sweet Mary, Mother of Jesus, you know. The thing is, the way the modern religions get the older, like what people would call folk or pagan beliefs, it's really interesting to me how they get mixed up together. And so how like your indigenous stuff it shows through in the religion. It manifests. And this is one of those things right here, Sancta Muerte. And I think that, you know, well, you can look it up and see that it's true that this stuff has been around long before, you know, even Catholicism or whatever. But then it manifested itself again within it, kind of, you know. It's super interesting. But the part about like the woman, the feminine, the divine feminine, and then like you know, the part about death being like not judging, everybody's on the same level, you know. I'm losing my train of thought, but it's gonna come to me.
Who's watched Breaking Bad, True Detective, or played Ghost Recon will come across the image of Santa Muerte, the Mexican folk saint of death. Dressed in a long gown with a skull for a face and her bony hand holding a scythe, the female figure of the Grim Reaper is often seen as morbid and menacing. In TV shows and the press, she's frequently tied to drug cartels and other criminals. Nevertheless, these depictions of Holy Death, as she's often called in English, paint a grim picture of this Grim Reaper that doesn't necessarily capture the full depth and diversity of her veneration. which is one of the fastest growing religious movements in the Western Hemisphere. Even though the Catholic Church has publicly spoken out against Santa Muerte, calling her a heretical saint and stating that her supplicants are satanic, and even though some priests have offered to exorcise her spirit from people like some sort of demon, most Mexican devotees of Santa Muerte consider themselves to be Catholic and see nothing wrong with worshiping her. Indeed, as you can see with these images on screen of shrines in Mexico, most pray to God, Jesus, as well as Holy Death. And though members of the drug cartels are known to venerate Santa Muerte, as we'll discuss later in this video, most adherents are people just struggling to get by, who feel called to worship the folk saint of death for the many miracles she's said to provide. As one of the leading scholars of Santa Muerte, Andrew Chestnut, argues in his book, devotees have been turning to her due to her reputation as the most powerful and fastest acting saint. Today, let's learn more about this bony lady, or Huesuda, as Mexican devotees often call her. We can learn a lot simply from Santa Muerte's name. La Muerte is a Spanish feminine noun meaning death. Santa is the feminine form of santo, which we can variably translate as saint or holy. But she has tons of different names, one of which is the bony lady, as I just mentioned. But she's also known as La Madrina, the godmother. Sometimes she's known as La Niña Bonita, which means the pretty girl. And people also call her La Flaquita, which means the skinny girl, as well as many other names.
So all of that's really interesting. He went through that really fast too. Does he have a caption here? No, he just put in some links. Let me read some comments underneath the video. Start us off. The first comment says, as a Mexican myself, I have to add from my personal experience that the Sancta Muerte in Mexico is usually considered a taboo for those that do not worship her. It is something people try to avoid talking about. And in my family, for example, as Catholics, we were told that venerating her was against God and all our values as Christians. And that is similar to witchcraft and black magic, in the sense that it's something that people resort to when they are asking for something which God cannot help you with. Most frequently, bad things like harming others. It is usually associated with people living in very marginalized environments, in dangerous neighborhoods, or slums surrounded by crime, violence, poverty, and really tough conditions for living. Outside those places, there are few people who worship her, and almost all of them do it in secret. And it can be a scandal when there are rumors of someone from a good family praying to Sancta Muerte. We really almost never talk about her, and we tend to pretend it doesn't exist and live our lives without thinking much about it. And for that reason, it usually gets us by surprise when someone talks about her or we see an image of her. Most people will interpret this as a sign that they are dealing with a dangerous place or a dangerous person. If, for example, you are in a taxi and the driver has an image of her, you may feel uncomfortable. Or if you get lost and end up finding a street chapel of the Sancta Muerte, you may want to get out of there immediately. I personally don't see any problem with people who pray to her, but it is what it is. That was a long comment, but I think that's really good how, like, kind of laying out the intricacies that's related to this, and the guy in the video is going to explain how, like, written evidence, they didn't have it. And he said that it was in the closet, but the reason why it was in the closet, and the reason why even this guy and his family probably feels this way still to this day, is because the Catholic Church came in. When the people got colonized, they was like, oh, this stuff is evil, this is the devil. So the people, and they would get killed. They would get killed for doing it. So they would hide it, do it in the closet, do it at night, do it when the authorities couldn't see. So, but this has been ingrained in them for generations and generations. Therefore, they are ashamed of it, and they hide it, and they don't, because it's not. But the other part of that that's so interesting, like I say, is reincorporated into their religion, into the same religion that was given to them by the colonizers. So they found a way to wiggle their stuff back in there. Whether it was consciously or unconsciously, that's what happened as a result. Let me read another comment. It says, as a Mexican American, I grew up seeing images of Sancta Muerte in devotional candles and statues for sale at local Mexican markets in Wisconsin, of all places. My mother warned me against her, saying that while she grant you anything, it will always come with a price, and that she's a jealous saint who punishes those who worship others before her. I see her very much as described here, an amoral entity that reflects the worshippers themselves. She's quite popular among many in the LGBT community in Mexico and in Mexican American circles, since Catholic institutions often turn us away. As more and more people see their situations as desperate and turn to anything for survival, veneration of La Santísima Muerte will continue to grow. Santissima Muerte. You there, Pat?
Yeah, I think so. You
I
can
think
hear me
so.
pretty good now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Let me play a little bit of this, and I want to get your comments.
All of these less formal names evoke the familial and intimate relationship that devotees have with her. Unlike God, who some might feel is distant and not very easy to approach given how mighty God is, Santa Muerte is imagined to be open to listening to people's prayers, and if they respect her and are loyal followers, willing to directly intervene in their lives and gift them with miracles. And as we'll see, because she's death, she judges nobody. Santa Muerte is what is known as a folk saint. That's to say, a saint of the people, particularly the working classes. Unlike Catholic saints, who were holy people that have been officially canonized by the church, folk saints are either real persons or mythical figures who have not been officially recognized by the Vatican, but who local people believe to be holy and supercharged with supernatural powers to help them in their daily lives. Because folk saints, unlike most Catholic saints, lived out their lives on local soil, they feel like familiar faces among the pantheon of officially sanctioned and largely European saints, who, let's face it, lived hundreds of years ago in a place far, far away, with lives that were just so different to the average Mexican that they can be hard to relate to. This means that folk saints offer a friendly supernatural face that's based on shared values, shared culture, and shared history. Another appealing thing about folk saints is that because they're not part of the official Catholic Church, they're also outside of the moral demands of the Catholic Church. This means you can ask them for things you might not want to ask God or other saints for, who might judge you for what you're asking. The folk saint's history is mysterious, and there's no general consensus among scholars on her origins. But according to the anthropologist Kate Kingsbury, who co authored this episode, as well as the historian Andrew Chestnut and the Mexican scholar Perdigon Castaneda, who all have researched the archives to try to find out about how the Saint of Death was born, she was created during the colonial era, from combining indigenous death deities with the Grim Reaper when the Spanish introduced Catholicism during their conquest of the region. In central Mexico, many say she originates from Aztec religious practice, but others give her Purépecha, Maya, or other indigenous origins instead. Like I said, there's not a consensus. For those in central Mexico, Santa Muerte is said to be an adaptation of Mictlantecuhtli, the Aztec goddess of death. In Aztec mythology, she oversees the underworld Mictlan with her husband Mictlantecuhtli. Like Santa Muerte, the deathly couple was traditionally portrayed as human skeletons, but some depictions in post-conquest codices depict them with fleshly bodies. When Spanish clergy, as part of the colonial conquest of the region, came to what is now known as Mexico, they encountered indigenous people who were worshiping their own gods, including death gods. The Spanish, while forcibly converting indigenous people to Catholicism, introduced European Christian iconography into the culture, including the figures of Mary, Jesus, the saints, and the Grim Reaper. While for the Spanish, the Grim Reaper was simply a popular and artistic personification of death, some argue that indigenous people, influenced by their involving ancestral bones and death deities, interpreted the Grim Reaper as an actual saint of death to be venerated for favors, just like any other saint, and just like Jesus. Santa Muerte was worshipped covertly for hundreds of years due to punishment by the Spanish when they discovered indigenous worshippers supplicating holy death.
All right, comments. What do you think? Nah, Deuce not here. What you think?
Nah, I'm just saying. I don't really have much to say about it. I'm just listening. I'm learning.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's super interesting, you know. So like, okay, they introduced these ideas of Jesus and Mary and the Grim Reaper, and these indigenous people saw the Grim Reaper as something that was already that they already did in their you know in their religions. You get what I'm saying? And so what's crazy about that is what I was saying earlier is like, so they was forced them to be Catholics, but they still found their own stuff within the Catholicism or whatever. You know what I mean? Or they brought their own stuff into it. You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, I don't. I mean, this is just like the common theme. Like this is like what's pretty much happened everywhere around the world. I mean, because every religion is based on, different parts of nature. And of course, they get creative with the way they write their stories. But I mean, they're all stealing it from previous deities and maybe renaming it or doing stuff like this is. I mean, this is what's happened for millennia now.
Yeah.
So that's why I mean, because this was, 'cause I mean, even like, I don't know, I guess when I heard the use of the word Aztec, it's like, I don't, that's like a misnomer, just like Olmec and, like these are different ways to, like for them to rename it so that they can have ownership of it. But they're using the same stories of people that existed, like the mythologies that already existed, but they just use different names. Rome did it, different dynasties in Egypt did it. I mean, they, it's just is what it is, I guess. But
Yeah, that's what they do when it comes to that. So, but had you ever heard of La Muerte or anything like that? Like,
La Muerte?
yeah,
No. No, I'm not. See, no, I'm not familiar with all those. These different saints and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like
it's
that's just,
Saint Muerte,
yeah, that's not my.
Santa Muerte.
Like I said, my dad's a Catholic, but I never, when I didn't study Catholicism that much to, really follow it. And
Yeah, well,
I
it's
guess,
not officially recognized by the Catholic Church, although a lot of Catholics do, you know,
it's a certain branch, like the one, because
yeah,
it's must, because I heard him say that it was a folk saint, so it's a saint of the people. So it wasn't an official saint,
correct.
but it
So
sounded like it was one for you know something that they probably somebody or some old person or whatever that used to live there was just a good person, and they made them a saint or something. I'm like the people made her a saint because she was probably well known. um so I mean, I
yeah,
guess if we wanted to make Aretha Franklin a saint, and then because what I'm saying, like it's kind of
absolutely, absolutely, I wouldn't have no problem with that.
yeah.
Let me play.
But I'm just saying, I think it's similar to that. Like
Let me
if
play
she
some
was a,
more,
go ahead.
and then we chop it up.
Spanish colonial documents from 1793 and 1797 describe local devotion to Santa Muerte in the present-day Mexican states of Querétaro and Guanajuato. The former example is an Inquisition record that reports, to use their words, so-called Indian idolatry revolving around skeletal figures of death petitioned by indigenous citizens for favors and justice. After that, all mention of Holy Death goes silent in the historical record until the 1940s. The first written references to the folk saint in the 20th century mention her as a supernatural love doctor who's summoned by women when they light a red candle. Holy Death of the Crimson Candle is said to come to the aid of women and girls who feel betrayed in love. So, for a span of over 200 years, Santa Muerte veneration was covert. Skeletons were literally hidden in closets. This is a far cry from today when we see her publicly shown on clothing or tattoos. So, how did we get here? The folk saint emerged publicly when Enriqueta Romero, a quesadilla seller in Tepito, Mexico City, placed her statue outside of her home in 2001 to thank the folk saint for freeing her son from jail. After this, devotion to death exploded, with many becoming devotees or declaring their faith publicly. Following the footsteps of Romero, people began opening temples to the Saint of Death. Jonathan Lagaria Vargas, also known as Comandante Pantera or Commander Panther, was a charismatic and outspoken leader in the growing public devotional tradition surrounding Santa Muerte. He built a towering 75-foot-tall effigy of Santa Muerte just outside of Mexico City, founding Santa Muerte Internacional, a temple to the folk saint. He was on his way to becoming a centralizing figure in the loose-knit community of Santa Muerte devotees. However, in 2008, he was gunned down in his car. His mother, Enriqueta Vargas, was appalled at the impunity with which her son's murderers were treated. She was not a devotee of Santa Muerte like her son, and she venerated the Virgin of Guadalupe instead. Nevertheless, at the time of his death, she turned to holy death. She vowed to extend the folk saint's reputation if she brought justice to those who assassinated her son. Events following her plea to Santa Muerte transpired in such a way that Vargas believed that the Saint of Death had responded to her request. Vargas made good on her promise. She expanded Santa Muerte Internacional into a transnational network of temples and shrines spanning across the Americas. She became a major public spokesperson, acquiring significant social status, spiritual prestige, and financial capital. Following Enriqueta's death in 2018, her daughter has taken over the temple. To read more about this new phase of...
That's an interesting story, right? How, but then I hear parallels to other stories. So like her son, he started this thing and then he got killed, and then they're saying that she wasn't with it, but then she was with it because I guess she asked Saint Muerte to kill the people who killed him, and it happened, and then now she believes. So it's like, it sounds like a story that I heard before somewhere else, though, in other religious texts too. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's definitely an interesting story. I hadn't heard anything like that before, but
yeah,
I don't know.
This stuff is super interesting to me. This is like, it helps you understand cultures, because see, like, this is coming out of Mexico and it's really growing, and it's all through the states now. But it's
this
but
is
it's
something
like,
that began in the early because it said the early 1900s, right?
no, they no, before that. They were saying, what they're saying is it's a reaction to when the Spanish came over there. So, but it also has roots because they were already doing this kind of thing beforehand. So, and that's what I'm trying to say. And then how it's like spreading out of Mexico now, this resurgence of it, it's kind of like it's so easy for the people to adapt to it, I think, because it's really just a thing that people have been doing for a long time anyways. You get what I'm saying? Before the organized religions of Islam, Catholicism, Christianity. You get what I'm saying?
How before?
Right.
So wait a minute, because how is there before Islam?
Because it was before. Shit, I don't know how else to say it. It was before
Catholicism.
Yeah, before all of that.
Well, I mean, based on the history, I understand that's impossible because Islam has been around longer than any other religion.
Okay.
Christianity only been around for what, 1400 years?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2000. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, but see, those are organized religions. This is this is before, even before you had these like organized religions like this. It was more of a visceral thing that happens in different parts of the world. It's kind of like how evolution happens, and it'll happen differently in different parts of the world, like at the same time and shit.
So these religions that just so happen to have the same name, they spawn out and becomes just a, this
Not,
thing.
it's not that they have the same name, because they probably won't, but it'll be the same idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me play a little bit more and we talk about it. This is really, really, really good.
Of Santa Muerte Internacional, check out recent research published in 2021 by Dr. Kate Kingsbury, a leading expert on Santa Muerte. Other leaders include David Romo, who established the traditional Holy Catholic Apostolic Church, but was arrested in 2011 on various charges, including kidnapping, and his church abruptly closed. It's been estimated that between 5 to 7 million Mexicans venerate Santa Muerte, but numbers are hard to gauge and no official polls exist as of the publication of this video. The folk saint appeals to basically everyone. While Breaking Bad might lead you to believe only drug cartels venerate her, devotees include everyone from farmers to taxi drivers to lawyers, though, as the historian Andrew Chestnut describes in his book, wealthier adherents generally keep their devotion private because of her association in the media with organized crime, as well as condemnation by both Protestant and Catholic religious authorities. And this privacy is partly why it's so difficult to quantify just how many individuals venerate the skeleton saint. Holy Death has a huge following among the most marginalized and those with dangerous professions. This does include drug cartel members, but it also includes police officers, sex workers, prisoners, delivery drivers, firefighters, or miners. And while media outlets portray the skeleton saint as a dark deity that you turn to for evil deeds, like most folk saints, she actually is amoral. She can be asked for anything and not just criminal activities. Santa Muerte, as worshipped by most believers, is not a black and white figure who's either evil or good, but a flexible supernatural figure who can be called on for all manner of miracles. And it's precisely her multifaceted miracle working that has enabled her to flourish among people from all walks of life, including among people of power and money. Also, because she's death, she does not discriminate, since death comes to us all, rich or poor. So the folk saint is said to listen to prayers from anyone, no matter who they are or what they do in life. Santa Muerte provides miracles to devotees, granting them not only life and protection, but also love, luck, well-being, wealth, and much more. As I mentioned, she's most often depicted as a female Grim Reaper, outfitted with a scythe and wearing a shroud, but often she holds a set of scales, representing her ability to exact justice for those in trouble with the law, or who require revenge for acts of violence that go unpunished by the police.
Or just simple justice. And I think that, they always kind of misunderstand some things, but damn it, I lost my thought. The idea of, what did he just say? How they, they don't feel judged, So that's another reason. That's what draws them to this, right? Because you're within the Christian religion or within Catholicism, and you're supposed to do this and you're not supposed to do that, and you do this and you're not supposed to do that, or whatever, right? You're supposed to pay your tithes. You have all these rules, and then these people feel like, oh, I can't live up to this, So I'm not worthy of going into the chapel and talking to the pastor or whatever, the priest,
Yeah.
right? So instead, then I'm gonna talk to Santa Muerte, because she's not finna judge me. So I'm gonna chop it up with her. You understand?
It sounds like some sort of a street justice god. Like if you got some thug shit that you want to get done, call on her, because she the one that's gonna uplift you and give you power. Because
now, that's closer to what it is. That but like he was explaining, she doesn't judge. So you know, and it's not just for that, it's for other things too that's not necessarily bad or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't you know, you can't pray to God to that somebody dies or gets hurt or something like that, right? You wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. So
It would
then
be it had to be very serious for you to go to God about. I mean, really, I think it should be really serious for you to ask for that from anyone. Because I mean, I don't see you speak like when you speak it, you're speaking to God, or it's you or the God that is speaking it. So I mean, that's not amongst my belief anyway. So I'm just based on what I'm hearing and what they're saying. But like, if you're asking for death from on somebody, like it needs to be some serious reasons.
and
Period.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. So, but I think that, you know, how it works in the psychology of humans is kind of like, you know, the, we personify these entities, right? So, you know, if we need to strike down the justice, we need to bring it to justice, then we personify ourselves into this Saint Muerte. You understand what I'm saying? You know, we might need to be the one to take care of business when it comes to that, because it's like the law didn't take care of business. We need to
Yeah.
balance these scales.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, for me, it just don't like if it's really that serious. Honestly, I don't care who know, or who, what power I'm trying to use. Guess what? It's time to handle business.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but you have that, you know, knowledge of self, you know, but you know, a lot of people need some help, you know, and
Well, I think it's. I mean, because to me, it's like and yeah, it's not my culture the way I would see it, like this, how I would look at it, but you know, it just like you need somebody to blame it on. You
right,
know,
kind of like some kind of like scapegoat, some kind of like a little separate, like a little buffer.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, I never really, I don't judge nobody based on how they see things. Like I said, I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but if that's how, these people do it, hey, more power to you. And, you know, like I don't think that everything that, like there's some things that just like as much as we live in America, so we see a lot of effed up stuff. So, at some point justice might look ugly.
And that's what it is, and that's what this is. And I think that what we do when we like let's say we go into Catholicism and we are like everything is good and all of this, so we're missing a whole other part. We're missing the whole yang. And that's why when things happen you don't understand them, and then you go back to your religion and you're like, you know, I don't understand, give me guidance, help me, you know. But hey, if you just look at the fact that you have this dark side that's going on, you know what I mean, then you will understand better when things happen.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I have those two powers within me. I got good and bad that exist right in one shell. So, you know,
And there's really no separation of
there's
the
no
two.
separation. Nah, they coexist perfectly.
Let me read some comments underneath the video. This one says, "As a priest living in Mexico, this is excellent and well done. I love your series. I think this is a really good video too. I want to play some more of it." Let me read another comment. It says, "I've known many folks from southern Mexico and Guatemala, and those people are serious about their folk religion. They are real devotees. These local folk saints have been part of the indigenous religion for many centuries in one form or another." That's what I was saying. Let me read another comment. It says, La Sainte Muerte has a huge following here in Chicago. She is everywhere. I also spent time in Argentina, and their folk saints are fascinating as well. For example, they have San La Muerte, a male deity that's different from the female Mexican Sainte Muerte, and Guchito Gil, who was devotees of San La Muerte. They both extremely popular, particularly in the interior of the country where a higher percentage of population has indigenous roots. So yeah, man, that's why I'm covering this, and that's why it jumps out to me, and that's why it's so interesting to me, and that's also why it's so easily latched on to by people is because this stuff goes way back. It's indigenous stuff. You
Well,
know?
yeah. I mean, I guess for some believing in because that's somewhat like a deity for them. Just like a lot of people look at Jesus or you know, I mean, whoever they choose, Muhammad or if that's where they receive their power or guidance and they feel, like that entity is strong in their life and that's what, they usually like when they need to accomplish something and that's who comes through for them. Like that's what you're gonna use because that's what works when you use that power. The one because I mean it's really does go deep into your belief. You know what I'm saying? It's like your belief like this is what tells like if your mama been using it, your grandma was using it, grandma was using it, like it's already been passed down in your DNA. So when it's your turn, shoot, the saint is like, oh yes, my baby, yes, come on, I got your back. Let's 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 go fuck up
Yeah.
some people or whatever, however it need to go down.
Whatever y'all trying to do. Let me
Yeah.
read. Let me read some more. It says, as a Buddhist, I find this phenomenon very intriguing. On the one hand, the personification of death, or maras, as as we call them, tend to be evil. The one who was adversary to Buddha was also known as Papiyan, or the sinful one. On the other hand, there is a story that an Indian monk managed to convert the Buddha's Mara to Buddhism, which suggests his role as a potential guardian to the faith. It would seem that the morality of death is largely dependent on circumstance. Okay. Let me read another comment. It says, there is a Sancta Muerte that is enshrined in a legitimate Catholic church in the Philippines. It is made out of ivory and is brought to the Philippines about 150 years ago. It was probably based on a Mexican Sancta Muerte. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, however, deny that the two are related and reasoned out in a television interview that the interpretation of the two saints and the religious representations are different. So they don't want to claim it for what it is in the Philippines. They're embarrassed about it. Anyways, let me play some more. This is so interesting to me.
As I mentioned before, when her son Jonathan was murdered, Enriqueta turned to Santa Muerte for revenge. This is because she felt the authorities in Mexico did little about the murder. In fact, Vargas even wrote a book complaining that the police did nothing, which is why she turned to Holy Death to avenge the death of her son. As far as Vargas was concerned, Santa Muerte delivered death to those who had cut her son's life short, and many others turned to the saint for her help with the law, whether it's to be freed from jail, such as in the case of Enriqueta Romero, or to ask for someone to be punished for their misdeeds. Ritual practice generally involves visiting shrines and temples to pay respects to her, creating altars in one's house, and giving her gifts as offerings. These offerings might involve sharing meals, alcoholic beverages, or tobacco with her, as well as marijuana products. Adherents also give her flowers, candy, and other such items to thank her for the miracles that they believe she bestowed upon them. A person's favorite offering to give to her might be their own favorite brand of beer or tequila. This illustrates that, in some ways, adherents view her as a supernatural version of themselves. One of the main attractions of folk saints is similarity and familiarity. And so, for this very reason, people might feel closer to folk saints than official saints and believe they can establish stronger bonds with folk saints because devotees typically share the same nationality and social class with them, as well as the same tastes. Indeed, the only official Catholic saint who's any rival to Santa Muerte is Saint Jude. But the sheer amount of Santa Muerte items for sale compared to Saint Jude paraphernalia demonstrates he might be outclassed. Stores and market stalls specializing in the sale of devotional items throughout Mexico sell Santa Muerte items. Chief among these are candles, the best selling of all the Santa Muerte products. They are a popular way to petition the saint, not only because candles are relatively inexpensive, but they also are a traditional votive in Catholic practice. The color of the candle aligns with the petition. For example, as I said earlier, red is used for petitions of love, white for peace and healing, and black for vengeance, which...
And you see these candles being burned all the time. Sometimes you don't have to see the whole ass shrine, the whole ass, skeleton and shit. But these people are still on the same shit. And because based on the color of the candle and the intentions that they're putting on it. You know what I'm talking about?
The colors of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard him say, and he was kind of breaking up a little bit on what you was reading, but yeah, that's very interesting as well. Because I mean, I know that colors really do have they have a frequency. You know what I'm saying? So those frequencies, I'm sure, helps to resonate that or give that type of mood to whatever it is that you're trying to. 'Cause I mean, like this is like when you get dressed, or like those colors do make a difference. Like what you're wearing changes the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it can, like you was talking about vibration. So then with the color, it helps you with your intention. So you focusing on a frequency, right? So he said the red one was for love, the white one was for peace, and the black one was for revenge.
Vengeance, yes. Not necessarily revenge, but just the fact of just anger.
Yeah. So, like I say, and you see those candles all the time. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but it could be because, see, really, the red is really more, I guess for some is passion. So I mean, and passion can go deep. Like it don't necessarily mean just love. You know what I'm saying?
Because that one could be bad too. Let me play it back just a little bit. He explained that colors
are relatively inexpensive, but they also are a traditional votive in Catholic practice. The color of the candle aligns with the petition. For example, as I said earlier, red is used for petitions of love, white for peace and healing, and black for vengeance. Which
and the white is also for healing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean this is supposed to be here in the Americas. That is in Mexico, right?
Right here. Yep.
So I mean, it could. I mean, you never know because he said. I mean, if it's for the indigenous, I mean, I mean, I don't know how true that it would be as far as Catholicism, because it probably that's something that bled into the culture at some point, but
right. So when you heard him earlier, because he was like, they don't really know, da 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 da. He was throwing words out there. He said Aztecs, Mayans, freaking. He went down the damn list. So like, like, come on.
Incas, and I'm like,
just throw everybody in there. We don't know. We really don't know. Why are you even saying this then? You don't know shit.
Look, the niggas that was here.
Yeah. So, but then that's what I heard. So that's what I heard. That's what I heard. So you know what that is. So you know who that is. And like I said, and then them saying that it going back thousands of years.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying. I mean, it has to be that. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I mean, but I don't want like, this is a new one for me. So I'm trying not to speak, you know, too crazy because like this could. I mean, this could be some family of mine because. I mean, based on what I understand about my roots and what like my family, being part of the Choctaw, that we came out of Mexico. Like when we migrated out of Mexico into Louisiana and some Florida. You know what I'm saying? So those people were potentially some of my people.
That's what I was trying to get you to see. Let me play some more of this.
Which, according to the scholars who study this tradition, is a less common candle and rarely seen at devotional sites. Case in point, research conducted by the anthropologist Dr. Kate Kingsbury has demonstrated that during the COVID-19 pandemic, Santa Muerte's role as a healing saint has intensified, as she's been imagined to have the healing powers to fight COVID. What's interesting is that the black candle, which typically is associated with black magic or vengeance as depicted in Breaking Bad, actually is also believed to have protective powers and is being used to ward off COVID. Prayer cards have also circulated throughout Mexico, with one reading, "Praying was, is, and will continue to be the most powerful vaccine to cure you of coronavirus. Do you have faith in Santa Muerte? If so, pray to her and say, Amen." As a folk religion, Santa Muerte lacks any official governing institution and is largely unstructured and informal. Because of this, it's absorbed many influences from other religions, such as the African diaspora religions Palo Mayombe and Santeria. New Age influences have also become integral to Santa Muerte. Indeed, most devotees practice their faith any way they see fit because there's no overarching body stipulating rules and regulations. Now, practice sometimes differs among second generation adherents and immigrant communities. Their practices and beliefs change from that of their parents, who brought with them more Mexican traditions. In the younger generations, devotees often absorb influences from other religious traditions from the region. Nevertheless, prayer, candles, and visiting shrines remain the most common forms of practice. Over the last 2 decades, the Bony Lady has been moving north, growing in the United States, especially within Mexican immigrant communities. She's most popular in the border states, but devotion to Santa Muerte has spread to cities and towns deeper within the United States too. Los Angeles is the American center of the skeleton saint. In LA, you can find several shops that sell Santa Muerte devotional items, and devotees can visit several places of worship, some of the first temples dedicated to her in the United States, including one of the largest shrines to the folk saint, La Basilica de la Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte also has become the matron saint of the penal system, both in Mexico and the southwestern US, popular among prisoners, but even the prison guards, which leads us to the topic of the media, drug cartels, and criminals in general.
So, but now that you've seen this, you're gonna see this everywhere because it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. But it's weird how like things like this is it's because of the media that that we get. It's all geared in a certain way, like a Western way, Western point of view or whatever, right? So even though there's a thing that exists that's everywhere, it seems like it's not even a big thing, but you see it everywhere, but you don't recognize it for what it is because of the way the media feeds you the information. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
but once you open your eyes to it, once you realize what it is, you'll see it everywhere, man. I'm telling you, it's in everything.
It's just like your favorite car, or or the car you just bought. Like you don't see, it's like, damn, I saw this car. Like once you get it, like you see them everywhere after that.
Yeah. Like, damn, why everybody got my damn car?
Yeah,
Shit, same color and everything. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. Yeah, but shit. Yeah, honestly, I want to know more about it because I mean this thing. Um, if you could send me, I don't know. I want. Can I find a?
I'll send you a
Like.
link after the show. I'll send you a link to
Okay.
this video. But and then maybe you could just type in Santa Muerte, and all kinds of shit gonna pop up.
Santa Muerte. Is it because I know for Mexico it's just San.
It's Saint Death Saint. That's what it would kind of translate to, the Saint of Death, or the female, because it's female too, because it's Sainta, so it's a female saint of
Santa.
death.
Okay, Santa. Okay, Santa. Okay. Yeah, send me what you got on it, cause I'm gonna look up some other stuff. I need to get it from. Cause this dude, he's kind of melancholy,
Yeah.
monotone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got some good. It sounds like good information, but it's just not like.
Yeah, it's the way it's presented. Let me read some more comments. It says, I had always assumed it was a recent offshoot of Catholicism, but seeing it as a holdout of pre-Columbian religion is really interesting. It's a good example of the resilience of a culture. And that comment is exactly what I'm trying to get the point of. Like, it's like you bury it, like they say on the internet, it's like you bury it, but you didn't know it was a seed, type of thing, like trying to make these people not do this thing, and then it just now it's flourished, all it's coming back, like it's like the weeds, it's like you cut down the grass or whatever the hell, and then it just come back stronger.
Mm-hmm. But this time it's got a flower.
Yeah. That's what it is. Let me read some more comments. It says, I'm from Panama. I used to pray to Sancta Muerta as a child, and I still do to today. There are many aspects to Sancta Muerta. That's it. Wow. Another comment. From the way you describe it, it feels like the kind of thing that over a century or two would just develop into its own religion. And although I don't study religion or anything, so I'm probably wrong, I have a feeling if it does, it'll be quite the beautiful one.
Yeah.
That's a.
It's kind of like some people, some of the black culture here in America has started making Noble Drew Ali like pretty much like a saint, or like a prophet. Well, I guess it could be a prophet, but I mean at the same time it's just like I think prophets are supposed to profess, have some prophecies or whatever, but which I don't think he really has, But anyhow, I mean, some people even said it. Like, what's his Taj Tariq Bey said that it said at some point some people gonna start talking about Noble Drew Ali as if he was Christ, or as a Christ.
Well, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
And then after you die, then they only talk about the good things you did, and it just becomes bigger.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what is it? It's blasphemy if you mention the bad stuff they did. Be like, hey, but I knew him. Shit, that nigga was doing all kind of weird stuff. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, he had a 13-year-old wife when he was 30.
Look, I got the video right here. People gonna be like, blasphemy, kill him. Let me read some more comments. It says, being from northern Mexico, I just want to lay out that you don't really see nor hear much about the cult of La Sancta Muerte around here. It is mostly a southern development, and as far as the circles and places I frequent, I have yet to meet or see any believer or shrine. Iconography is found, but in my city, it is mostly understood just as fun representation of death that feels very Mexican and authentic, especially in relation to the Dia de los Muertos celebration, not much else. So look at this. So this is it right here. So it's like, how like things simmer Like, I'm just because this guy is saying that he's not seeing it doesn't mean it's not there. And then after that, he's really saying that it is there. But he's saying that, okay, it's just a fun representation of death that feels very Mexican and authentic. So it's like, the kids are just doing it for like fun or whatever, but they feel drawn to it. So, but that's the reason why they feel drawn to it is because there's something there.
Well, it's a fascination that when like kids will draw into almost anything that their parents you know get into. You know what I'm saying? So they'll do it just like it's like becomes like a ritual that happens within a household. They do these prayers, and then before you know it, they become teenagers, and like this is like something that they just do on their own, and then it turns into something you know that is it's handed down from generation to generation. So I mean, um, and a lot of times, like you say, when you have kids that's doing, like, and even adults don't even fully realize what type of entity this was in the beginning. Just what I'm saying, like most deities that we've had, you know, you have a confusion. You don't even you're not a really confusion. You really don't know anything about what you're praying to, and you asking for your special request from. But because if this is the saint of death, unless that has a different meaning than what we really understand. Like it's just
Yeah, that's a translation that's probably not really right, and you'd have to
yes,
dig into it to really get it.
yeah. So I mean, it's a lot there, but like I think people still should be careful because some people are gonna hear about this and be like, you know what, I'm gonna start praying to
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? And shoot, ruin they damn life.
Yep. I wouldn't recommend anybody playing with this stuff that they don't know what they're doing. Let me read
Yeah.
some more comments. It says, I like this popular veneration of an official saint, especially as she is popular amongst the poor and marginalized in society. It's religion at its best. Another comment, it says, it is quite interesting to me that the brief description of the veneration of Sancta Muerte lines up almost word for word with how Shiva is venerated in Hinduism. Obviously, this is a gross simplification on my part, and the two cultures are a world apart, both literally and metaphorically, so it is exceedingly unlikely that either influenced the other in any significant way. I think this is a great example of convergent evolution within human social structures as opposed to convergent evolution seen as biological context. See, this guy is saying exactly what I was saying earlier. That's what I was trying to say. Like, he said that it lines up almost word for how Shiva is venerated in Hinduism. And he's saying that it couldn't have been influenced by one or the other. It had to been, independently,
It had to
created.
be what?
It had to be created like independently in these different places. You get what I'm saying? So it's like he's saying he said this is a great example of convergent evolution within social structures as opposed to convergent evolution. So like
But look, listen. Do you know how many different versions of Jesus there is? I mean, well, no, my bad, because we're saying Jesus, but Heru. Like, do you know how many different versions there is of it all around the world where it was just shared? Like people, going from different places. Like this, it becomes like it's like can be somewhat of a mythology or, you know, a way of trading an ideology. But when someone picks it up for their own culture, they give it a name that relates to something of their own territory of what where they live. So these ideas are not necessarily just out of the blue and just people just so no, a lot of times it's shared and then it's just they put it in text or in context to what probably maybe both. I don't know if there's any writings on it, but either way it's an idea that's passed all around the world, and then different people put their own, they put a familiar name with it, with that idea. So I mean, this is something that's been happening for thousands of years already. So it's like not really that big of a. It's not a, what I'm saying, like it seems odd, might seem odd to some, but when when you do have some context and understanding of religions and how they've passed around, and you got 3,000 or more of them worldwide, shoot, it's just
Yeah. Let me read some more comments. This comment says, I wish people would recognize Saint Muerte devotion as a modern manifestation of indigenous Mexican religion and not something associated with violence. So that's what it is, a modern manifestation of indigenous religion, Mexican religion, and not necessarily associated with violence. Let me read another comment. It says, can I just say the way you opened the video was perfect. No plugs, no unnecessary intro or any formalities. You really drew me in by mentioning Breaking Bad and Ghost Recon. Bravo. So yeah, it's really interesting because like I say, you see this stuff in everything. And I really like that show, Breaking Bad. That was a really cool show. And
I've been seeing some reels from it lately, and I've been like, man, I need to go back and watch some of that shit again.
yeah, so they kind of highlighted Saint Muerte a bit in Breaking Bad, then it gave like an association with the cartel, being that it's like the cartel are the ones that do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, but that's the thing. I mean,
that's what the show made it look like.
Well, yeah, but okay, but yeah, well, I guess I wouldn't look at it that way anyway, because regardless of what your occupation is, in most cases you have a God that you speak to and try to utilize or look for protection from, and regardless what it is, I mean, because at some point as a child, regardless, even when you become an adult, you're going to use that same, try to use that same protection that your mama shared with you. So I wouldn't necessarily look at it as just, like it's not just for Corteo. It would be for any people that, believe in it.
Yeah. Let me let him wrap his point. It's only a couple of minutes.
Almost all news coverage of Santa Muerte follows the old mantra, if it bleeds, it leads, generally tying Santa Muerte to drug trafficking and murder. And it's true that devotion to her is common among drug cartels. As Andrew Chestnut describes in his book, everyone from low-level drug dealers to high-ranking cartel bosses have been found with Santa Muerte paraphernalia, and shrines to her have been found in cartel safe houses. Though, as we've seen throughout this video, it's important to stress that this is only one aspect of the saint. A more robust understanding of Santa Muerte requires that we remember the more commonplace devotion among the many other groups who venerate her, a diverse group of people who turn to her for a range of favors, the most popular of which tend to be the sort of thing that people throughout history have always wished for: love, health, and wealth. As Dr. Kingsbury will cover in her upcoming book, Daughters of Death, the movement is particularly popular among women, and women have dominated as leaders and founders of important shrines and temples. We've already seen this earlier in the video, whether it's the pioneer Enriqueta Romero or the person who made Santa Muerte to go transnational. Enriqueta Vargas. Many younger women across the country have followed in the footsteps of this older generation and are building devotional centers where thousands flock to. This is interesting when we consider Santa Muerte's position in Mexican culture, especially with its Catholic majority population. While institutional authority in the Catholic Church remains a male-only priesthood, the Santa Muerte movement, centered around a powerful female saint and lacking any institutional regulations, has become a place where women have carved out powerful roles for themselves in the religious landscape, acquiring social prestige, financial independence, and recognition as leaders, healers, and witches of Santa Muerte. Research like this helps us gain a more nuanced understanding of the Santa Muerte movement. Many devotees feel insulted by sensationalized media coverage. They're tired of associations with drug cartels, given that most notorious cartel leaders don't venerate Santa Muerte. As Dr. Chestnut and Dr. Kingsbury emphasize in a recent co-authored article, Santa Muerte is not just a narco saint, but rather we should think of her as a matron saint for people on all sides of cartel violence, whether they are drug cartel members themselves or the police officers praying to bring down the narcos. Devotion to her is common among Mexican police, soldiers, and prison guards, but she's also a matron saint of the victims of cartels, who pray to her to keep the violence far from their family and friends. This is one of the appealing aspects of the skinny lady. She's perceived to control life and death. Santa Muerte, as a flexible, amoral, multifaceted miracle worker, offers something to them all. And above all, as Holy Death, she is the only one believed to be able to delay demise. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I would not have been able to...
Holy Death. That's probably a better translation. Or honorable death. What you think about it?
Well, it was kind of skipping on me a little bit at the end. That's why I might have to kind of pick it up and kind of do some of that studying on probably, on my free time. But like I said, I mean, it definitely is like, I mean, this is not, this is something this is my first time hearing about this this saint, so it is very interesting because I mean I don't really know much about all these saints. I know Santa Claus, or know about him, know about Saint Patrick, I know about his funky ass, and see, but you know what? Some of the saints that we've had that I say that we've had or that come up through time, like a lot of people don't realize that Saint Patrick was named as a saint for being a murderer. Like he killed off the Twa people in Ireland. What some people say the Pygmy, which is kind of a fucked up name, really for them people, but the Twa people that they say came out of Africa, but these were little small people in that was over in the Ireland area, and they end up killing them off. Like the leprechauns, like what they would consider the leprechauns that used to be there, they killed them off. That's what that's what his whole, it was a bunch of black people. So the saints and like they made him a saint for killing them off. So when people are celebrating St. Patrick's Day, they don't realize that's what they're pretty much giving reverence and praise to, is this guy who killed off a bunch of little black people.
Yeah. I pulled up the Wikipedia of Santa Muerte, and I want to read just a little bit of it. It says, not to be confused with San La Muerte. It says, Spanish for Our Lady of Holy Death, often shortened to Santa Muerte, is a cult image, female deity, and folk saint in folk Catholicism and Mexican neo-paganism. Dang, that's pretty harsh. And but see, whenever they say that, that always jumps out to me. Whenever they say they call something paganism, it makes us. Whenever they be like blasphemy,
something that they're trying
voodoo,
to something that they're
yeah.
trying to demonize. Yeah.
Whenever they say that, it's always, and that's what it sounds like they're saying. And then it says female deity. All of this sounds bad, like the way they're saying it. Rather,
But
you know,
but see, and I think that's kind of the same thing because that's kind of the thing that's I guess somewhat confusing me, or what's confusing me. But yeah, that's kind of what they do. Within anything that was religious, that was good for the people, or that they want to steer the people away from, because maybe they received some great power. They truly use it. I mean, if you use it and get power from it, they want to demonize it from the people, so that that's not something that they'll utilize. They'll actually try to give them something that they should utilize, which wouldn't be as strong as what they have of their own. So it's like same old damn song, same.
that's true. I want to read some more. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. It says Spanish for Our Lady, or it says Spanish for Our Lady of Holy Death, often shortened to Santa Muerte, is a cult image, female deity, and folk saint in folk Catholicism and Mexican neo-paganism. A personification of death, she is associated with healing, protection, and safe delivery to the afterlife by her devotees. Despite condemnation by leaders of the Catholic Church and more recently evangelical movements, her following has become increasingly prominent since the turn of the 21st century. Originally appearing as a male figure, Santa Muerte now generally appears as a skeletal female figure, clad in a long rope and holding one or more objects, usually a scythe and a globe. Her robe can be of any color, as more specific images of the figure vary widely from devotee to devotee, and according to the rite being performed or the petition being made. The cult of Santa Muerte began in Mexico sometime in the mid 20th century and was clandestine until the 1990s. Most prayers and other rites have been traditionally performed privately at home since the beginning of the 21st century. Worship has become more public, especially in Mexico City, after a believer called Enrique Romero initiated her famous Mexico City shrine in 2001. The number of believers in Santa Muerte has grown over the past 10 to 20 years. It is estimated 10 to 20 million followers in Mexico, parts of Central America, United States, and Canada. Santa Muerte has similar male counterparts in American continents, such as the skeletal folk saints San La Muerte of Paraguay and Ray Pascal of Guatemala. According to R. Andrew Chestnut, PhD in Latin American history and professor of religious studies, the cult of Santa Muerte is the single fastest growing new religion movements in the Americas. I really like to use the Wikipedia, even though, a lot of some of this is a bit off, and it's also kind of like you slant it from a point of view, you know. Um, but that makes it useful still, if that make any sense, you know, them saying neo-paganism earlier on, and the part where they said it's a cult, and then they said it started in the mid 20th century.
It started.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with any of that.
Now
Those
you
parts.
said you would not.
I would not agree with those parts. I'm just saying. Anyways,
I mean, if it said thousands of years in one part on one section, it just, I mean, how can it be so? Because if that's the case,
well,
mid 19th century or 20th century.
it said 20th century. That was on
So in
Wikipedia.
the 1900s, the 1940s, 1950s, is that what
That's probably what they're saying. Yeah.
I mean, it's not impossible that it started that soon, but if you're talking about indigenous, like that's when you're hearing that part indigenous, it goes back to usually goes back some time.
Check this out. I don't know if I don't know how old this clip is. I had never heard it. What you think?
What do I think about what?
What he was saying? That was Money Mayweather.
Huh?
That was Money Mayweather talking about he don't want to be called African American.
Breaking up.
Oh, you can't hear me?
It was you were breaking up. Say it again.
Oh, I'm not sharing. That's why. Oh man, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. No, I guess I thought I was sharing, but I wasn't. That's what happened. Here, I'm gonna play it again. It's a little bitty thing. It was Mayweather talking. Y'all couldn't hear it. I thought y'all could, but I'm tripping.
I'm an American. I was born on American soil. But I did go back to the motherland, and I love it. And made millions going back to the motherland. But I was born in America. When the Europeans came to the Native Americans, well, they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land. We don't call them European Americans. So I don't want to be called African American. I'm an American. You know what I'm saying? You can call me a Black American, but I'm an American. When I competed in the Olympics, they didn't say fighting African American. They said that American that's fighting out of the red corner or out the blue corner. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. I was born on American soil.
You heard that? You heard him?
I mean, for somebody who's supposed to be dumb, I mean, he pretty smart. I mean, he chooses he want to go. I mean, if he feels some connection to Africa, I mean, because I'm sure I've heard. I mean, Africa is beautiful. Like it's and then if you hadn't been somewhere different, like a lot of people hadn't seen enough a lot of America, and because America is beautiful as well. But you can go there and you have certain experiences. If that's what he wants to do that. But I respect and appreciate him saying that. Look, I'm an American. Look, I wouldn't. I fought in the Olympics. They didn't say, this nigga or this African American, this black dude from America. No, they just said American. So I think, pretty much anybody else that are, that truly foreigners, they should have hyphens in their nationality, and that's like that's common sense. I mean, to me.
Go piss everybody off. Let me play Trump.
It's declassified. I declassified everything. Now, I declassified things, and we were having a lot of problems with NARA. NARA is a radical left group of people running that thing, and when you send documents over there, I would say there's a very good chance that a lot of those documents will never be seen again. There's also a lot of speculation because of what they did, the severity of the FBI coming and raiding Mar-a-Lago. Were they looking for the Hillary Clinton emails that were deleted, but they are around someplace? Were they looking for the spying
you're not
on
saying
Trump's?
you had it.
No, they may be saying, they may have thought that it was in there.
Okay.
And a lot of people said the only thing that would give the kind of severity that they showed by actually coming in and raiding with many, many people is the Hillary Clinton deal, the Russia stuff, or, I mean, there are a number of things, the spying on Trump's campaign. So they spied on my campaign.
So let me ask you this question, because I think this is the next logical question, because the president of the United States, you, unlike, say, Hillary Clinton in her case,
right,
a president has the power to declassify.
Correct.
Okay. You had said on Truth Social a number of times you did declassify.
I did declassify, yes.
Okay. Is there a process? What was your process to declassify?
There doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. You know, there's different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it to Mar-a-Lago or to wherever you're sending it. And there doesn't have to be a process. There can be a process, but there doesn't have to be.
So what you think? What say you? You there?
Yeah. No, I'm here, but you're talking about the things that I'm assuming they're talking about the things that they took from Mar-a-Lago and the paperwork and stuff. Because I mean, they were looking for something, but they just didn't know what it was. They knew I mean, it's not something it's not a secret. They knew he had declassified this stuff, but it was still stuff that they didn't want him to have. So, and because for one, he's still trying to drain the swamp. You know what I'm saying? A lot of trying to build evidence so that he can say, here, see, now I told you, this is this, because there's a lot of stuff that's out there that he's, people he's talked to around the world that knows all the stuff that's been going on, but he has to be able to, in order to bring them to justice, he's got to be able to prove it. So that's the thing, and they felt like he may have had some of that information. You know what I'm saying? So they busted, they pretty much illegally went into one of his estates to, get what they could get, or but it's getting pretty heated, because I think that was one of the reasons why they had to force themselves back into office, to make sure somebody and especially with Joe being there, because that was really it's people that's been in there for a long period of time. Obama is really one of the Bush's people. You know what I'm saying? He, they Republicans, he Democrat, but that's his people. The Bushes and Obama, they family, close family. You know what I'm saying? So they had to get somebody that's been in the bullshit long enough that they don't have to bring somebody new and then hope that they don't squash the whole deal. Like all the bullshit they've been pulling for the last 40, let's see, 40 years.
Yeah. Let me get what you think about this one. Let me get what you think about this one. They're asking him about racism. Can it be reverse racism?
Not the same. It's not as extreme.
Do you believe reverse racism exists?
I'm honestly not sure what it is.
It would be like reverse racism would be like black people can be racist against white people or like other yeah, basically.
I mean, you can be prejudiced, but it's not as systemic as racism is.
I don't think
Ooh.
you can be racist to a group that isn't marginalized. So
I don't think so, just because racism by definition is when a group with institutional power is oppressing or discriminating a group without it or abusing their power. So I don't think reverse racism is really a thing. Thank you.
No, I would say no.
probably not.
That was pretty easy, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like it like does, but just not to like the extreme that it clearly happens like right. I don't know how to like word it properly.
Like, it depends. I mean, I guess not. Yeah, like, I know what
Like
you
it
mean.
does, but it's I don't know.
Not the same amount.
Not the same, and it's not like as extreme.
Okay.
I guess, if that makes sense. I hope that didn't sound like.
No, it's okay. Okay, thank you.
Reverse racism only racist.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
What do you think?
I mean, the ones that said that no, and yes, they could be prejudiced. That prejudice could be done. Can happen through other races against other races or whatever, or even to white people. So whether it's black, brown, whatever it is, because the persons who are in power would have to be they're the only ones that can really truly be racist. And that's like the girl said, like I think it was this one here, and, she explained it the best. So I mean, yeah, you can be prejudiced but not racist, because like
Yeah.
racism is an institution.
Yeah. Yeah.
She tried to get it out, but she just didn't. I guess she got caught off guard, and because she understands it, she understood it, but she just couldn't verbalize it. So
Yep. Man, this is a crazy, crazy world we live in right now. I'll say that.
yeah, just a hustler on the go.
Too much going on, man. Yeah, man. Shit, I wasn't really prepared because I wasn't planning on doing the show really, but I really liked the Saint Muerte topic and that video that I saw. So
Hey, what was the thing? Because I was listening a little bit this morning about what was the Red Score or something?
the Red Scare, that was the name of the show last
Scare.
night. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about how freaking how people get programmed, ever since like especially since like the McCarthyism, and it's like we talk about it in historical sense, like that was in the past, without connecting it to what's happening now, related to Russia, and the way people feel about socialism or communism and their misconceptions of these things.
hmm Because see, the whole thing, because I mean, I like I said, I did kind of pay some attention to, I was riding down the highway and I was listening to you and Deuce, and you know, like the biggest fear, because I mean, the capitalism, because me and you talked about capitalism and socialism could work together, but you would have to use it like locally. You would have to be, you could be socialist, but worldwide you have to be capital, a capitalist. So I mean, because I don't know how it would really work. Do you just make one set price for every little thing, and no matter where you go, it's got to be this, that, and whatever? Because um, the I mean, if everything is fair, and everybody's able to, provide for themselves and this, that, and the other, regardless of, you work or you don't or what have you. Um, it's still, capitalism would have to, I guess, exist to some extent. I don't know if it could be a worldwide socialism because, the production from country to country. See, that's why I think it is important for us to be somewhat nationalist, and we could try to help other countries or whatever, but we
You
have
need
to
to
be,
be you need to be regionally self-sufficient. And
yes.
what other country would be mad at you for doing that? And if they're mad at you for doing that, then there's something wrong.
Well, I
There's a
mean, we're
problem.
gonna have the jealousy and envy that has always, I guess, to some extent, always existed. But in order for us to be a peaceful world and not everybody, somebody angry with another country because their resources is stronger than another or whatever. But if we're, because I mean, the global government would only be good if everything is fair, shared evenly. You know, if the profit doesn't matter, it's you know I don't know, like some people's ego won't allow that to happen. Some people gonna not produce what they need to, and because I mean it's like why should I do it? I'm gonna get what I need if I want. I think that's one of the fears, the globalists, that if they don't do have some kind of accountability system that people that can work does, on them having to trick you into like, well, if you don't, then you this or that, or something. I don't know. I feel like these people really feel like if they're not scamming you or making you feel bad, or like s- don't have that competition element, that they're not gonna be able to have people to work at some point. So I don't know, man. Like I think it could work, but that's me being optimistic on
I think it
you
could
know
work too, because you can have those worker co-op type programs. And as far as what you're saying, I think that each country being self-sufficient, we live in a world like that, and the ones that have those excess resources, the ones that's like producing microchips and shit, they'll just be producing microchips for everybody. It'll be like that, and each region will have its thing that it does.
well, you see, the thing is that I think, like, a lot of people don't realize is that we've had, when we were in power, we did have a global control. We had global control, and it was, we had our seat in America, Africa, and pretty much, Europe was pretty much taken care of by everybody else in different countries, because if they didn't produce the things that was needed, then it got provided. But because it was pretty much ran by the world, like, whoever or whatever who was needed, that like they could fairly work it out, and it's no big deal. But since it has changed hands, you know that's where it's a lot less fairness, because I mean we don't I mean what stories are there of neglect, Well, I don't know. Maybe there was some neglect in different areas of the world that I just don't know about. But I think to some extent, with the wars that was going on, it was more, I guess, ego and like I guess it's something that we're probably gonna deal with no matter what. So I mean, trying to you know like take some and letting a few people run the entire world probably, in my opinion, would make everything worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So,
saying?
but what do you think about as far as the Red Scare? Do you think that it's like that today? It's like the McCarthyism, the Cuban Missile Crisis?
well, well, yeah. I mean, those things. I mean, they keep making Russia the boogeyman, China the boogeyman. The communism. You know, like those terms don't like that. Those ideas never ended, and I think that's how the left really keeps its power is because the keeping people in fear that, oh well, if you don't, if we don't do this and that and the third, then we're just gonna get taken over by Russia and China. Like, they don't want to take over everything. I mean, that I can see, because I think that they're willing to work with people who, I mean, as the more that they try to put sanctions on people, yeah, the more they're gonna be like, yeah, I want to, yeah, we
Yeah,
need to take control of this.
they force people to be aggressive, and that's what kills me because they think that everybody else thinks like them, and everybody don't think like them
Yeah.
at all. That's
So I mean, and look at Cuba. Cuba could have done something a long time ago if they wanted to, but they haven't, and they've actually just be like, just become more self-sufficient, even though they've been having the worst sanctions put on them since, like, they say inhumane sanctions that they've been dealing with for, they said, over 60 years now.
yeah, and I think it's more
So,
hardcore than like pretty much any other country in the world. It's really, really
huh?
sad because they still driving cars
Uh-oh.
from
It's
1950.
breaking up.
Shit, my Wi-Fi is going low. Can you hear
Wait a
me?
minute, it's breaking up for me. I can't hear you.
My Wi-Fi is showing low. I'm probably
Uh-oh.
gonna. Can you hear me? I'm probably gonna wrap it, man. It's so frustrating.
This damn truck just came and pulled up on the side of me. I think it's blocking my signal.
I think it's me. I've been seeing my little Wi-Fi thing going down. It could be me. I keep seeing it blinking and shit. My little signal light thing. Can you hear me? I think I'm gonna wrap it, y'all. I'm hungry. I didn't eat. I went to the park. Haven't been home. I need to prepare for tomorrow. I'm gonna wrap it, y'all. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening.